No surrender, no defeat. Maybe it's time for an Evercade retreat.
Hello and welcome to the Evercade Retreat. My name is Gene Jake and today I'm ranking all the games from the Atari Collection 2 for the Evercade. Now this is a legacy collection. Fortunately it's one that doesn't seem to go for too ridiculous a price. But even so, you can play most of these games on the Atari Super Pocket or on Atari 50 and things. So if you can't get hold of it, it's not really the end of the world. But anyway, let's go through these games and give them a ranking and all this sort of stuff.
Number 20
is Street Racer. This is a sort of top-down racer where you're dodging oncoming traffic for a period of time to gain points. It's as basic as they come and really not exciting. It's just tedious and really not fun at all. I don't know how this was ever considered fun or worth buying. Yeah, it's terrible.
Number 19
is Wizard. This is a top-down, I would say, maze combat thing. You control a wizard fighting a swirly demon of doom or something. It can pass through walls, it can fire multiple shots. Your shot fire rate is much slower, and you have to sort of track it down and kill it. And it's basically whoever brings the opponent's energy points down to 0 first wins, and that's about it. It's rinse and repeat. It's really not very exciting, unless I'm missing something, but I just didn't really care to try anymore.
Number 18
is Air Sea Battle. Now this is a fine enough little game. It's old and it's very basic. You're basically just shooting things coming by. Probably better in multiplayer, which I haven't tried. And it's okay, trying to get better scores and things, but yeah, it's just very basic and old and not really all that exciting.
Number 17
Human Cannonball is exactly what it says. Again, it's a very old, simple game where you're essentially firing a person from a human cannonball and trying to land them safely. It's very basic, but it can be quite a little fun for a little while, but there's really not a huge amount to it.
Number 16
Sprint Master. This is basically a version of Super Sprint for the 2600. It's not really very good. It's vaguely playable. You can see my gameplay footage here. I really couldn't be bothered to be playing it again at the moment. It doesn't really fare very well, but it's passable, I suppose.
Number 15
is Submarine Commander. Essentially you're viewing through a periscope of a submarine and you're shooting enemy boats and things. It's very simple and pretty straightforward. There's different game modes and things, but ultimately it just comes down to firing torpedoes and whatnot. It's okay, it's fine.
Number 14
is Radar Lock. This is the Atari 2600's answer to Afterburner, and trying to do such a game on the 2600 was clearly ambitious, but it can be fun enough for a bit. Again, accepts its limitations and you can have a bit of fun with it, but it's really not up to that much.
Number 13
is Planet Smashers. This is a shoot 'em up for the 7800. It's fairly basic, but it's got a few unique ideas. Essentially, you're defending the Earth, so there is an Earth shield meter, and essentially, as that depletes, if it gets depleted completely, it's game over. So you have to stop enemies from getting past you. There is a few power-ups in there, such as an autofire and other things, and you have to collect a number of different orbs in the right sequence to basically unleash a boss on the level. And again, it's okay, the sound effects are a bit annoying, the graphics are very basic, and it's just a bit basic despite those ideas, and really doesn't come together. It's not an exciting shoot 'em up.
Number 12
is Basketball. This is a basketball game for the 7800 where you not only just play basketball like a 2-on-2 basketball, but you can batter your opponents. And you can essentially just batter the opponents, leave your AI-controlled teammate to score the baskets and knock out your opponents and make your life easy. There's people at the side of the pitch throwing knives at you as well. And it's not a great game, but again, it's quite fun for a little bit. I mean, the graphics are okay, and it's okay. It's nothing special.
Number 11
is Dark Chambers for the 2600. This is a gauntlet style game, and really it's more than the 2600 can do. It's very slow moving, it doesn't look like much, and the enemies are very spaced out, and it just becomes a bit of a chore wandering around. I mean, maybe if you're feeling really chill and you could enjoy it for a bit, but again, it's just, it's not a great version of the game.
Number 10
is Bowling. Yeah, it's a bowling game for the 2600. It's naturally very basic, but again, you can have a bit of fun with it, just chilling out, passing a bit of time in a waiting room or something. There's a few game modes altering how your bowling ball works, whether you put some curve onto it and things. I think it's okay for passing the time, but just a little bit of a chill out game.
Number 9
is Real Sports Tennis, a 2600 tennis game that ultimately plays a bit more like Pong. It's very basic, it doesn't have any features, but again, it's quite fun. You can, it moves well, you can, bounce the ball back and forth to your opponent, get it past them as you do in tennis, and it's okay. It's impressive for what it was, I think, really. I think it looks quite good for a 2600 game, but yeah, there's not much to it.
Number 8.
Demons to Diamonds. Again, it's a 2600 game that initially looks like a bit of a, Space Invaders clone, but it's not. You shoot these dark demons and they'll release diamonds. If you shoot the white demons, they'll create a skull and crossbones that will fire at you. And rather than just shooting directly up, you have essentially a beam which stretches up. There's a few interesting ideas for the game, and I can see what it's going for, but I just don't really find the gameplay loop that fun. I mean, it's okay, I know it has its fans, and I've tried to like it, but I really can't really find all that much fun in it beyond finding it curious and kind of entertaining, but I just don't feel any need to keep playing it over and over. It's okay.
Number 7
is Desert Falcon for the 7800. On the Atari Collection 1 there was the 2600 version of this, and naturally this is a better looking and better playing version. It plays a bit like Zaxxon. You fly in a nice symmetric view, and you can land and walk along the ground, or you can fly and essentially you have to collect some treasures as you go through the level, beat a Sphinx at the end of the level, rinse and repeat. Again, it's okay, I've never been a huge fan of Zaxxon or that type of game anyway, and this one is much the same, and ultimately it's the way the game's controlled. I just don't find them very fluid and intuitive. I can play it for a bit, but I just get a bit tired of it before getting that far into it. But again, it can be okay.
Number 6
is Yar's Revenge. It's a game that I never used to get. I've played it a few times and just found it a bit awkward, and I really had to put some effort in to get past the fact that it feels a bit unpleasant with the sound effects and everything. It just doesn't really have that much appeal. And there's quite a fun game in here, and I found as I've actually learned how to play the game, I started enjoying it. It's not really my cup of tea, but it is pretty decent, and yeah, it's fine. I like it well enough.
Number 5
is Haunted House. Again, it's a game that I'd never played before the Evercade. It's a haunted house game on the 2600. The lights are out, it's all dark, you have a torch, you have to find items and essentially find bits of an urn and get out of the house. It's a simple premise, maybe a bit too simple, but there's a certain charm to it. And that's what's kept me playing it, knowing it's a classic, and it took me a while to start enjoying it. But yeah, I'd find something to enjoy, and I enjoyed playing through it the once, and I'll probably never bother playing it again, aside from my quick bash around here getting footage.
Number 4
is Millipede for the 2600. Now, I've always preferred Centipede to Millipede. I thought in some ways Millipede adds a few things, and just maybe my Centipede skills weren't good enough to cope with it. And this version isn't as good as the arcade version, not just visually, but I just don't think it plays as well, or the collision section's as good. But it's still a fun game, and yeah, it still made it high up in the ranking of this game, on this chart even. Quite simply, despite the rudimentary graphics, the gameplay loop of the Centipede and Millipede games is fun, and this is a passable version, so it's ranked up here quite high in the rankings of the cart.
Number 3
is Asteroids for the 7800. Again, it's Asteroids, it's 7800 version, so it looks better than the 2600 version that was on Collection 1. And yeah, it's a full-fledged version. It obviously looks quite different from the arcade, having come out several years later. And yeah, it's a good version of Asteroids. I like it. Not much more to say here.
Number 2
is Centipede for the 7800. Much like the Asteroids version before it, there was the 2600 version on the first collection, and this is a better version with nicer visuals. Plays a little bit differently because of the shortcomings of that version, but again, it's a good version of Centipede. It's a lot of fun. Really nothing to complain here, and really not too much to say about it, aside from it's Centipede and it's fun.
Number 1
My favourite game on the collection is Solaris, a 2600 space combat simulation. It's a very ambitious game for the 2600. The graphics are really nice, and it's quite complex. Well, at its base, it is a space shooter, but you land on planets, you rescue people, shoot enemies, navigate the star map, and what have you. There's just more to it than you'd expect from a 2600 game, especially when you think of things like Human Cannibal or Air Sea Battle or even Pac-Man. And yeah, it's ambitious, but it succeeds in its ambition. Unlike, say, Radar Lock, which was good for what it was, but just limited by the hardware. This tries something unique, and it succeeds at it. It's a lot of fun once you give it a chance to grow on you and to figure out what you've got to do. That'll take a bit of time, but it's worth the effort.
Overall opinion.
So yeah, Atari Collection 2 is very much a mixed bag, and maybe it's just for me not being a huge Atari fan and not having nostalgia for a lot of these games. I know there's many of these games are classics, and a lot of those made it in the highest part of my rankings. But some of those games are just too basic and too simple for my tastes, and while there is fun to be had with them, I just can't really rank them that highly. So my ranking here might be a little bit off because of my, I wouldn't say distaste for those basic games, but my sort of lack of interest in them. Fortunately, with 20 games on the collection, there's a lot to choose from, and you have got sort of a good 6-7 solid games here, and essentially a lot of filler, and obviously your tastes will vary, so naturally opinions will vary. All in all, I'd say it's a decent cart, but not amazing. I would give it a 7 out of 10. Anyway, that's it for this video, and I will see you on the next one, and as usual, I'll go out with a silly song based on one of the games on the collection. And a last minute addition, as I nearly forgot this, if you insert Atari Collection 1 and Atari Collection 2, you'll unlock Dark Chambers for the 7800. Quite why this wasn't included as the standard game on Atari Collection 2, I don't know, because the 2600 version is okay for what it is, but the 7800 version is much better and is a genuinely good game. You can play this on the Atari Super Pocket, or if you have a VS or an Alpha, you can play it this way.
Against the flicker of lanterns, the shadows grow in the chambers below where no light will go. With every step, hear the danger's breath. A labyrinth alive, a dance with death. Ghosts and ghouls, they guard the key to unlock the depths of this dark mystery. Treasure glimmers, but beware the snare. One wrong move and you're caught in despair. In the dark chambers, where echoes scream, a pixelated nightmare, a haunted dream. Step by step, I'll fight my fate. Through the chambers of shadow, I'll navigate. From dungeons deep to the crypts unknown, each path a riddle, a test to atone. The void is watching, its hunger vast. The monsters are endless, but I'll outlast. Traps and tricks, the walls conspire to pull me down in their endless mire. A hero's heart, a will of flame. Through the darkness I'll stake my claim. In the dark chambers, where echoes scream, a pixelated nightmare, a haunted dream. Step by step, I'll fight my fate. Through the chambers of shadow, I'll navigate. Power-ups light, like stars in the gloom. For a fleeting moment, they banish the doom. But the clock ticks fast, the peril's real. In dark chambers, only courage will seal. The end is near, the prize in sight. I'll claim the victory before the night. Through the dark chambers, my journey complete. A battle hard won, but now I'm feeling beat. Against the flicker of lanterns, the shadows grow in the chambers below where no light will go. With every step, hear the danger's breath. A labyrinth alive, a dance with death. Ghosts and ghouls, they guard the key to unlock the depths of this dark mystery. Treasure glimmers, but beware the snare. One wrong move and you're caught in despair. In the dark chambers, where echoes scream, a pixelated nightmare, a haunted dream. Step by step, I'll fight my fate. Through the chambers of shadow, I'll navigate.